So I want to talk about the Michael B. Jordan and Lori Harvey breakup. And if you aren't aware, I did a video on these two about a year ago when they got together. My opinions in that video ruffled some feathers, and I'm sure this one will be no different. And I want to address both black men and black women in this video and talk about how both sides are responding to this. So let's jump right into it. The first thing I want to say is I'm still not 100% buying that this relationship was real. I still believe it could have definitely been a publicity stunt to benefit them both. In Michael B. Jordan's case, to make his black woman fan base believe that he is genuinely interested in black women, because we know black women gave him a hard time about that in the past. And let's face it, he does need our support for his career to survive if they continue to put him in black movies and promote him to the black community. And that's true for most black men in the industry. They need black women's support to stay relevant. So it's possible that he used Lori to get on our good side, and black women fell for it like we always do. So that worked in his favor. And in Lori's case, Michael B. Jordan assisted her in becoming a more well-known socialite. And for those who believe in astrology, I also read that both of them have Venus in Capricorn. And people with that placement are said to sometimes date purely out of convenience. And that's especially true for Lori, who is also a Capricorn sun and has many other planets in Capricorn. So I'm just throwing that out there for all that it's worth. But if this was real and these two really broke up, we don't have the details of why these two broke up. Neither of them have confirmed the information that is being spread in the blogs. But regardless of that, people break up all the time. It happens. And I honestly wish this breakup wasn't such a hot topic. But I also understand that everybody has an obsession with celebrities, and black people are no different. However, black women's obsession with celebrity black love and celebrity black men in particular is much worse to me than everybody else's celebrity obsession, because while black women publicly praise and celebrate black men for dating black women, black men, on the other hand, they don't care about black love. They don't celebrate when celebrity black men get in relationships with black women, and especially if they don't think she's good enough to be with that black man, which has been their issue with Lori Harvey being with Michael B. Jordan from the very beginning. And you better believe that if Michael B. Jordan goes back to dating non-black women, black men will publicly show their support for him just to spite Lori and black women in general. They're already releasing articles on Media Takeout saying that Michael B. Jordan was spotted with a white woman right after he broke up with Lori. But there were no pictures in the article. And this is not to say that it's false, but it's very likely that they made that story up just to trigger black women and also control the narrative, because when one of their preferences rejects them or breaks up with them, they have to soothe their ego because they see themselves in Michael B. Jordan. And the current narrative is that Michael B. Jordan took an L. Lori Harvey broke up with him. He's so sad. So I think the black men over at Media Takeout are trying to flip that narrative with the made up story that he was seen out with a white woman. And I say all that to remind black women that you were the only ones who ever celebrated this union, and you were always celebrating black love by yourself. And just black men's response to this whole thing, that should make you stop wanting to embarrass yourself doing that. This relationship should have never been idolized by black women in the first place. And this is why I will continue to caution black women against idolizing these celebrity relationships, because at some point you will become disappointed. And while I see a lot of black women defending Lori and praising her for serial dating and not wasting her time with men she's not compatible with, I'm also seeing a lot of black women jumping on her on behalf of Michael B. Jordan, which to me is very cringe. I'm seeing other black women join in with black men saying that Lori is for the streets and how Michael B. Jordan deserves better, and how if Lori isn't ready to marry him, then they are. And it's cringy because most of the women who are saying this, Michael B. Jordan likely wouldn't even choose. And I just don't think those women should feel sorry for Michael B. Jordan. One, because he could have easily found a woman around his age by now who was ready to settle down. And two, because he's a grown man who chose the woman that he wanted, and whatever comes as a result from him making that decision is on him. See, what we're not going to keep doing is victimizing these celebrity men who who have a plethora of women to choose from, a plethora of quality women that they would be compatible with. We hear black men constantly promoting dating younger women. So if Michael B. Jordan choosing to date a younger woman didn't work out in his favor, oh well. What these men should be doing on their podcasts is being honest with themselves about most young women wanting men who are closer to their age, but they would rather spend their time shaming younger women for not preferring older men. And y'all know I'm all for younger women dating slightly older, established men. But there are pros and cons to that. Not every young woman is going to want to do that. And if she does choose to do that, she doesn't have to settle down with the first older, established man that shows her any attention. She doesn't have to force him into being a match out of desperation for marriage. And I mean, let's face it, Michael B. Jordan got lucky. He was able to get a younger, beautiful woman because he's rich and he's fit. Most of these dudes, they're not going to be able to do what he did. But whether they win or lose with young women, like Lori, is on them. They're grown men making their own decisions. They don't need or deserve our support when their relationships end with the women they choose. And when black women sympathize with these men, it looks extremely thirsty, in my opinion, because again, Michael B. Jordan wouldn't pick you anyway. He obviously prefers mixed-ish looking women, light-skinned women with quote-unquote good hair. We've also seen him with non-black women. That's all we've seen this man with romantically. So in my opinion, it looks very desperate for black women to condemn Lori for allegedly dumping this supposed good black man that supposedly loves black women when he doesn't even prefer your phenotype. That is the issue I have with most black women living vicariously through Lori. And I know y'all hate when I say that. You're going to come up on here and try to convince everybody that the typical everyday black woman looks like Lori Harvey. You're going to talk about how you got 11 cousins who look like her. But the truth is that most of you do not have her phenotype. Yet somehow you felt validated when Michael B. Jordan chose her. And now some of you feel let down that she left him because it ruined your black love fantasy. And see, not a lot of people are going to tell it to y'all like this, which is why I'm making this video. You cannot project your fantasies of being with Michael B. Jordan onto Lori. Maybe she didn't want to marry him, not because she isn't marriage minded, but because she felt they weren't compatible in other areas or because of some deal breaker that we don't know about. And I see a lot of black people online having this high value conversation on these podcasts, and I see them pushing this idea on black women that we have to tolerate any and every high earning man, irrespective of character and compatibility. That's what black men and black people wanted Lori to do, and that is what they want the collective of black women to do. And it's just not realistic. And I say that as a hypergamous woman who prioritizes a man's finances in dating. Just like a woman's beauty alone isn't enough for men to consider her to be wifey material, a man's finances alone doesn't qualify him as a good husband and a good father. None of us know if Michael B. Jordan would have been a good long-term partner to Lori. We don't know anything about him. Lori is moving like a woman who knows that she has options. She goes where her stock is the highest. She doesn't feel like she has to settle down with the first catch because she can catch another one. And even though the everyday black woman may not have as many options as Lori, you can still have multiple options and date in a similar way if you play your cards right and you put your best foot forward. If you can meet one, you have the potential of meeting another one. And while I'm all about black women being realistic when it comes to dating and what kind of men they can get and how long they'll be able to attract those men, I also don't think they should just settle down with the first high earning men they come across that they really may not be compatible with because they fear they won't be able to meet someone better. I personally think that black women can be realistic about their dating options while also not feeding into a scarcity mindset. That's not good advice, but of course the men are going to push that because it primarily benefits them. And I think it's important for black women to understand that black men aren't just responding to Lori. They're responding to the online conversation that started on channels like mine about black women and hypergamy. They know that many black women are listening to these conversations, internalizing it, and deciding to raise their standards. And we're also not going to accept men who have bad character or men we aren't compatible with just because they are high earning. And if black men are serious about us choosing better, then they wouldn't be so upset with us factoring all of that in before we settle down with someone. But they can't take the idea that a black woman especially can dismiss them them and say, hey, I think I can do better. That is what this is about. They can see that there's a shift happening with Black women. So they're responding to that through Lori, because in this moment, she's unintentionally become the poster child for Black female hypergamy. And Black men, they don't want her influencing everyday Black women to follow in her footsteps. So they're pushing back against her behavior and simultaneously victimizing the men that she's dating, which is just ridiculous to me. Now, another reason they don't like Lori and they feel she is quote unquote for the streets is because of her dating history with various high earning men. High earning but low quality men, such as Future and Diddy. And they never felt that she deserved someone like Michael B. Jordan because he is seen as the nice guy. Mind you, again, they don't know this man. They don't know if he's a nice guy or not, but they're treating him like this poor little victim the same way they did with Will Smith. Even though nobody forced these men to choose who they chose, just like nobody forced Lori or Sierra to get with Future. And it's amazing how that choose better mantra only applies to Black women when we choose poorly or choose men we aren't compatible with. But Michael B. Jordan and Will Smith and other men, they are victims to their choices in women when it goes bad. And Black women, you need to stop going along with that double standard, because you get no grace, you get no forgiveness from these men when you make poor dating choices. And let's be honest here, Black men want Lori, Sierra, and just Black women in general to be forever punished if they ever made poor dating choices in their youth. In a Black man's mind, and many other race men as well, once a woman is with one type, in their minds, she can never deviate from that type. She's not allowed to mature. She's not allowed to make better dating and mating choices when she gets older. And this applies to Black women with and without children. But it's okay for Michael B. Jordan to date multiple women and not settle down until he's in his 40s or 50s. It's okay for Future to have a million kids by multiple baby mamas. You just can't date him as a Black woman or you're damaged goods, right? But really, Black women, they have no problem with men like Future. They're actually jealous of him because he gets all these women, and they just don't want you to date him and men like him. And I actually agree with that. I think that Black women should avoid those kind of men like the plague for sure. But it's almost like Black men wanted Lori to get pregnant with Future's baby, and they resent the fact that she was able to walk away from him with no baggage, and she was also able to level up. That's what these men hate. They don't feel that she was adequately punished enough for making that decision to date him. And in my opinion, him putting her in a song and embarrassing her like he did, I think that was punishment enough, if you want to call it that. Sierra being stuck with that man because she had his baby, it doesn't get any more accountable than that. Yeah, she moved on to Russell, and that's great for her, but she still has to deal with that dude forever because she had his child. And this is not to say that she should regret her child, but I'm sure she regrets the man she chose to be his father. Being attached to a man like that forever is punishment enough. But see, these men want you to suffer forever. They never want you to be able to move on. And I definitely think they resent Lori even more than Sierra because she's not leaving with that heavy baggage. She's pretty much able to completely wash her hands of these men and start fresh. So two things you can learn from Lori, Black women, is to not have babies with the men that you're dating and having fun with. And don't waste too much time with men you aren't compatible with, no matter how much money they have. And look, I say that with caution. I don't think everything Lori does can be applied to everyday Black women, but that part can. And I have to say to Black women again, guard your reputation with your life. Keep most of your dating mistakes and sexual history to yourself if you can. And I know many of you hate when I say that, but I say it like this. Most men aren't going to tell you about all of their dating history and sexual escapades. Why? Because they don't want you judging them. And if you think that most men, and especially high earning men, are just so honest and they're going to tell you every detail about their past with women, you are sadly mistaken. So you as a woman, you don't have to share all of your dating history with them either. And it's not so much to appease them, but to make your own life easier. And I don't think that women should feel like they have to adhere to this moral standard that men don't follow. And this is not me saying that you should just lie about everything and be a duplicitous person. This is me saying that if there are things you do not want to share about yourself with anyone, you have that right. And don't let men who lie to you all the time try to convince you that you're wrong for that. If it benefits you not to disclose certain information about yourself, then don't. Now, obviously, Lori can't do that because she's a public figure. So unfortunately, she has to deal with the reputation that comes with making poor choices in men. But with her, it also doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because she can pretty much get away with it. These men online, they can bitch and moan or whatever, but she's still going to keep getting rich men who want to date her. She'll likely get one to marry her. And men know that, which is another reason they're mad at both her and Ciara. But my main point here is that black men don't deserve sympathy when we treat them how they've always treated us. They don't deserve sympathy for getting burned or dumped by women they choose. Black men put these women on a pedestal, but then they later resent that these women can pick them up and put them down as they please. And that is what Lori is doing. It's not our problem that they're mad that their preferred phenotype is basically dating like a man. And I have a problem when black men take the resentment they have for Lori and women like her, their preferences, out on everyday black women. Stop being mad at the women with standards who refuse to be your pump and dump come up woman and punching bag because you're mad that women like Lori do not want you. We are not obligated to settle for being your last choice. So again, unambiguous dark-skinned black women, especially, this is not your fight. Neither Michael B. Jordan or Lori need your defense. They both will be fine. Now, what you can and should do is refuse to allow black men to pull you into this and agree to harass Lori on their behalf. That's not going to make them choose you or a woman like you instead. So black women, it is in your best interest to stop idolizing celebrity black love and just being so desperate for it in general, because it does make you look foolish when you're out here caping for men who don't care about black love at all and are just going to keep running through women until they're in their 50s. This is not your fight. Let them handle this on their own. So that is all I have to say. Let me know what you guys think about the topic down in the comment section, and I'll catch up with you in the next video.